Welcome to another exciting episode of Today with Tally. The mission and goal of this podcast is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. We will inspire, encourage, educate, and tell the stories of America's finest men and women in an effort to motivate you to live your life to its fullest potential. Be sure to follow us on social media and search Today with Tally. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the program as well. Ladies and gentlemen, your host of the evening, Mr. Brian Tally.
Welcome back to the Today with Tally podcast, where we add real life value to the lives of everyday people. We were on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Anchor FM, Spotify, and About Face Radio. Simply search Today with Tally and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to get every episode and stay up to date with the latest and greatest our guests in this show has to offer. Folks, today we would like to thank our show sponsor, author John Henley. Now, John is a respected best-selling author who served in the U.S. Navy on submarines and then went on to serve as an officer of the CIA. He is now living out his dream as an author and is giving back to the community he cares deeply about. If you are an aspiring author and need a mentor, perhaps you want to collaborate with a best-selling author, contact author John Henley today. John has developed a unique program that specializes in helping military veteran authors get recognized and get you the exposure you need to be a successful author. John believes that writing, creating, and using your imagination and putting a book together is a healthy way to deal with post-traumatic stress and is a wonderful coping strategy to occupy your mind, body, and spirit while surrounding yourself with a positive and meaningful hobby. Contact author John Henley today, and he can give you that final push and encouragement to reach your goals. Visit authorjohnhenley.com. That's authorjohnhenley.com, and select your story and follow the prompts. And when you're there, go check out his newest release, Charlie. That is part of a big series that will continue on. The first one is Alpha, now Bravo, and Charlie. Go check it out, and you will not be disappointed in author John Henley's work and everything he is doing in the military and veteran community. Now, folks, we have a very special guest joining us on today's program. Now, John TIG Tiegen is best known for his heroic actions defending the US Consulate in Benghazi, Libya during an all-out assault by Al-Qaeda in 2012. Now, he and his team would fight off these Islamic militants for 13 hours before reinforcements came in, saving countless of lives, dozens and dozens of lives. Now, what is TIG doing today? Well, I'll tell you, he is running for mayor of the city of Colorado Springs, and we are delighted and honored to have John TIG Tiegen join us on the program today. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Good to see you again. And I got to tell you, that was pretty nice watching. I mean, from when you first started to now, because it's been a while since I've been on the show. And yeah, you getting it down, man. Liking it.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind word. You know what? I'm just living out my dream now. I'm just doing what God wants me to do, and this is it. And I'm loving it. You know, and you know the show wouldn't be where it's at without the guests. You know, of course, I can't just sit and talk to myself on this thing. You know, like a lot of talk show guys, they just sit and talk about topics. I need to talk to somebody. I need to interview somebody. I need to pull out what they can add to the lives of everyday people. Look, we all have value out there to be added, but you know, you got to find it. You got to talk about it. It's about the resilience, the perseverance, the adversity, everything that can make you better. So, you know, and you're one of those men. You have put it on public display for such a long time. And now you have thrown your hat in the ring and become the mayor of the city of Colorado Springs. Now, I know that they could use a lot of help in the city of Colorado Springs. As a lot of people know that, you know, I graduated from Woodland Park High School in 1995. I've had several children born in Colorado Springs. I had a ranch out in Peyton, Colorado. So, you know, I'm very well connected with the folks at Colorado Springs. And again, I'm honored to have you on the show to talk about your 3 top agenda items that you can see, feel, touch every single day on what we can do to make positive change in the 719.
Yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, even out of the gate, they're hitting me. You know, the moment I turned my packet, got all my signatures to turn my packet in, just again, right out of the gate, they're hitting me, trying to stop me from being on the ballot, just all kinds of stuff, man. They couldn't get my name right on the ballot. It was just crazy right out of the gate, but I expected it anyways. And it's still continuing. I mean, we're fighting with Facebook to try to get ads on. It's been 7 weeks. So it's just crazy. I mean, everything's just, we get nothing but pushback. So it makes me even fight even harder.
Being the true American hero you are, I mean, you served in the United States Marine Corps as a sergeant, and then you would go on to be a contractor, work with Blackwater and, the CIA and, protect US consulates and, embassies and all the service that you have put in, all the sacrifice you have put in. Why would a city be so cautious about you running for mayor, and why the pushback?
I think because I'm not part of the establishment. I'm here to actually get down to the root and bring out the darkness and bring it to light, really, is what I want to do. And, bring trust into the government, like have the community actually trust the government by auditing all the officials, everybody that's running the city should be audited every year to ensure everything's on the up and up. And that's the only way, to me, we can bring trust back to the government. And I don't think there's anybody that's running that's willing to do that and willing to, do that much pushing, because you're going to get a lot of pushback when you want to audit people. Mm-hmm. Because I look back in the tax or the audit from the city from 2017, and it doesn't show anything about any of the elected officials, the mayor, the department heads being audited. So again, the individuals themselves need to be audited, not just the department. The people running it need to be audited. And it needs to be upfront and transparent, like this is what's going on. And, and if you're afraid to have that done, I mean, even I should be audited when I become mayor. The outgoing mayor should be audited too, to see, mm-hmm. any official that gets replaced, that's elected right now, should be audited, regardless if they lose the election or they lose their seat or whatever. Because there's a couple city councilmen that are being that are up for re-election too. So again, to make sure everything's on the up and up, and this should happen every year. It is going to be a little bit of a cost burden on the city, but how else are you going to gain trust in our government?
Sure. Now, John, can you explain exactly what you mean about the audits?
See, again, just like when you do your taxes, your audit, see what you have in finances, what you have in property, what kind of gifts you were given, and then who was it given by, and what transpired during that time you were given. Are these builders getting special privileges and just stuff like that? Any under the table gifts being given for, mm-hmm. special need? Just again, like people want to know how come especially a lot of home builders versus the big builders. Like, how can these big builders, they're just going and doing and bypassing all kinds of stuff, where
mm-hmm.
Like home builders, they're struggling. They're fighting with regional building. And
mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's just, I want to know what's going on. And I don't think anybody that's running for office would ever want to do that, especially mm-hmm. putting themselves in an audit, because it sucks. But I think it needs to be done. Again, we need to have trust in our government.
Yeah, the favors, the yep. backroom deals. Why is this contractor and home builder getting all the, all of the incentives over here and getting, 10 times the amount of water services? Because you can't build a house without a water service. And, I know.
Yeah.
Water-
So, just something that happened recently. And, I went into the interrogation of the builders. It's not really interrogation, but that's what I call it, because you're sitting down in front of everybody and they're asking questions. So that was on like April 9th. And then I believe February 9th. Gee, me Christmas. Already. Yeah. So February 9th, I went in and got interrogated. I think it was April 14th, the city council gave the big builders their 128% water rights. And mm-hmm. then 2 days later, Wayne Williams, who is on the city council that approved the water rights to the big builders, gets a $250,000 donation, which has never happened before, conveniently. So again, it's like, okay, is there a backdoor deal? I mean, what is he telling them? Is he saying, well, I'm just going to let you do it? That's, I would like to know, because again, if it's something that's never happened before and now it happened, why? Why are they giving? Because last election, they told me they gave it to three. They donated to three separate candidates. Why didn't they do it this time? How come all of a sudden now it's just Wayne Williams, who's on the water board? He's on he's on the ballots for Runbeck. He's just got so much power and control. Is that what they want? Is it power that's buying the election and money buying the election? I mean, wouldn't the people want to know? Because he's not going to audit himself.
Well, we all know in America, that whoever raises the most money will typically win the election, and that's been true for
not necessarily. There's that one plumber out in New Jersey or something like that won off $150.
Very, very rare circumstances.
So, but I know what I'm saying. Again, it goes back to the voters. It gets the word out. It goes to grassroots. I think we got a lot of good volunteers that are pushing the grassroots side of this, because I didn't want to raise money because I didn't want to. I don't think money should win elections. I think that's the corruption. I also think just having two parties running, it's destroying our country.
No, I agree with you. I don't, there should be caps on how much you can donate and how much you can give and all that stuff, just to even the playing field, because there's great men and women out there that have so many awesome ideas, but they aren't the establishment. They are the grassroots. And sometimes those are the best candidates, because they're going to be working, it's duty, it's honor, it's country. They are going to be working for the people's best interest, rather than working for the interest of who's donating to me, what kind of a backroom deal can I do, what kind of a secret handshake can I do, how can I get all of these donations pouring in so I can put my name all over every single billboard in Colorado Springs, have every commercial on prime time so everybody can see my name 100 million times. So when they go to vote, they recognize that name and they're getting checked.
Yep. And that's all they know. They just know a name.
Right.
So again, but everybody's like, we need change, we need this, we need that. But then when change does come, it's like, he doesn't know this, he doesn't know that. Well, that's again, there's a lot of stuff I don't know. I mean, I just really dove into politics kind of like you did, last minute. It's been a month since I've dove really into politics, obviously. But to me, as a mayor, you're a leader. There's 23 department heads underneath the mayor. So again, it's not about knowing everything. It's about leading everybody and going to the people that, that's their job skill. That's what they got hired to do, is run that department, run that section of the city. Again, the leader goes to them. Okay, what's the plan for this? Like the roads, where did all of our money go for the roads? That's why, again, we have to audit everybody to figure out what's going on. But to fix that, again, I don't know how to build a road. I don't know. Is it 8 inches of packed soil, road base, and then you put I don't know. So again, like, you go to those concrete guys who know how to build the roads and make sure it's done correctly. And maybe there's new technology that we can prove it so it doesn't get potholes every year because of the heat and cold stuff that's going on. But it's just working with them to find out the best solution for the city. And again, also after you talk with them, okay, let's go to another professional who actually knows how to do it, and let's see what he says. Again, you listen to multiple people. You don't, again, as a mayor and as a leader, you don't just listen to one person. You go to multiple people who are professionals in that job field. That's my way of thinking, and that's how the military, that's how they get things done. They don't just go to one source. They go to multiple sources to figure out the solution to a problem. So again, as a mayor, for me to come out just like a lot of these guys who have been in politics since I was in junior high school, and our city's deteriorating, that should tell you something. So, I mean, we were still graduating high school when these guys were running our city, and it's deteriorating. But now they say they have the solutions for all the problems. No, you don't. You have a solution to fluff your pocket, in my opinion. So Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going at. And people need to wake up and get new leadership involved. Even if it's not me. I mean, there's a couple other veterans, but again, it goes back to, like, I'm gonna say they're officers, because they're both officers. Where's the wokeness coming from the military? If you're not liking this wokeness that the military's going at, it's coming from officers. So again, they're yes people. I don't know these guys personally, but are you going to get the same wokeness or the same direction that we're even going now? We need to change, and we need to fix our infrastructure inside Colorado Springs. And it has, unfortunately, us as adults right now, we need the ones to suffer so our kids don't suffer, because we're the ones that caused the situation, because we got complacent. I got comfortable in my life because everything was good. But COVID, it popped in, and it kind of showed me that our government's controlling us and we're not controlling our government.
Sure. And it is supposed to be we the people,
Exactly.
And for the first time in my life, from at least what I'm seeing and feeling and taking the temperature of the nation, if you will, through all of my contacts, that people are afraid of their government for the first time in their life. And it shouldn't be that way. Your government is supposed to work for you. The power is with the people, but it seems as if that has been completely flipped. And that is not what our country has been built on or designed for. So it takes grassroots folks like you to stand up and fight for what's right and take that power back, give it back to the people, limit the government, have accountability and transparency, and work for the betterment of the community and the people.
Exactly. Yep. And again, it's for my kids. It's not for me. And it's not, again, it's not for you. It's for our kids and our grandkids and, in our future generations, because we're already in it. We're screwed. It's going to take decades to reverse what's been done. And that's across the board. That's why a lot of people are more getting involved in the schooling system now. And a lot of conservatives that are on the board here, they're getting major pushback because they're trying to force education and stop the indoctrination. So it's working, but again, you also got to think about the bigger picture, which, do you want the establishments to keep running your city? Do you want the bribes to keep on going? If there is bribes, again, I won't know until I get in, because nobody's going to audit the department heads or the elected officials, which again, our city council makes $6,000 a year. So, and to me, that should be a full-time job. That's one thing that definitely should be changed, because that'll help with a lot of the corruption, I think, if there is corruption. But in my mind, there is. I mean, how could you not? I mean, it's $6,000 a year. How can you not take favors?
Oh yeah,
sorry.
Oh yeah, it's like that in state politics too. When you work for the state house, you get paid barely. I mean, like nothing. It's like I don't know, just a couple $1,000s a year or whatever. But you spend almost $1 million or $2 million to get elected to make a couple $1,000 a year. So yeah, there's power
going on.
Yeah, there's power involved for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you seem like the type of guy that, of course, you're not a politician. You're going to go in there and you're going to run this, as if it were a business, checks and balances and making sure everything is good to go. I could see you rolling up your sleeves, and look, you still got mud on your boots. You're not going to be going in there, with your suit, tie and all that stuff.
I'm not doing a suit and tie. I'm sorry, I'm not doing a suit and tie.
Like I said, I can see you being a blue collar, fighting for the people, giving the power back to the people, and again, rolling up your sleeves and leaving a trail of dirt, if you will, behind you because you've got mud on your boots because you're a worker. Yep. And now that's how I feel about you. But I want to get into some of your agenda items. Now, you have discussed with me off record before this interview that there's 3 things that really that you could start to improve day one as mayor in Colorado Springs. Now, one of those items is public safety. Another one of those items is homelessness. And another one of those items is infrastructure. Now, I want to start with public safety. Now, protecting the people of Colorado Springs, the businesses, and all of the tourists that come to vacation in Colorado Springs every year. What is your vision And what will you do to ensure the protection of, the citizens, the businesses, and the tourists, of Colorado Springs?
Well, right now they say we're 70 officers short, and as the city keeps growing, I think we're more like 170 or to 240 officers actually short. Right now, firefighters are covering for law enforcement during traffic accidents because there's not enough to go around. So firefighters who usually respond to medical emergencies and stuff like that, because even our EMS is low. So having more officers kind of would help relieve the first responders, respond to more medical, and working with our firefighters to actually add EMS to the departments, which the Tabor is blocking a lot of that. They say they may have figured out some ways to work around that, but anyway, so number one thing as a leader, again, to me, I think all the mayors right now have just been managers. They've been telling people what to do versus being a leader and listening to what people need, and not actually standing up for our first responders. In the background, they'll do it all the time, but out in the public, like on the news, coming out and defending your law enforcement, defending your firefighters, your EMTs, and just letting people know, like, I stand with them. Actually, I'll stand in front of them, and if they, that's just the type of person I am. One prime example is a firefighter here locally was responding to a structure fire. And again, they don't know if people are inside burning up or need to be rescued. He was going through a park, and there happened to be a homeless lady that was sleeping underneath the tarp. It's at night. He's just trying to get to the fire, and he doesn't know. He just sees a pile of trash, and unfortunately ended up killing this lady. But since it's a criminal charge, again, the mayor and even the other elected officials won't stand up with this guy. To me, he's not at fault, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He didn't do it recklessly. He didn't purposely go out and do it. I mean, how do you know? I mean, again, his job is to go into the fire. He's literally going into the fire, trying to get his truck there so they can put it out and probably save other lives. And for the mayor and then not to come out and publicly stand and defend this guy and protect this guy, it's not good, because we hire these people to do a job that we don't want to do. Half the population doesn't want to be part of. And the same thing goes for law enforcement. They're some of the incidents, I think were I forgot the guy's name, but he's running away trying to pull a gun out of his pants, and the cops shot him. Yeah, he shot him in the back. But again, me being in combat, I know. I mean, it takes a second for that dude. He can just shoot, in any direction, hit somebody else or hit one of the officers. Why don't you stand up for the law enforcement? Where you're, as the mayor, as the leader of the city, you should be standing up next to them until they are proven completely guilty. But even then, you don't just completely abandon them, because they're hired to do a thankless job, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Probably 25% of the city actually respects the law enforcement now, because they've been bastardized by the media, and again, public officials. They don't stand with them. So again, to protect the city, you need leaders to stand up for them, so you get more law enforcement people to come on board. They got rid of their immunity from civil lawsuits where they got to fork out $25,000 of their own money. That's not right. What other job does that when you kill somebody on an accident or in a split second decision? Like a manufacturer, if you're running a machine and you do something stupid and you kill somebody, do you have to pay $25,000 out of your own pocket? No, you don't. I mean, your business that covers it. So it should be the same thing for our first responders when they make split second decisions. So it's just that kind of stuff that I think would help bring the people that we need into the community to run our law enforcement, and to show them that you have their back no matter what. I mean, people are going to screw up. We're human beings. We do it all the time. Parents screw up when they're trying to raise their kids. It just happens. I mean, it is what it is. But just to turn your back and not stand in front of them, you're not a leader. You're to me, you're a coward.
So, I think you nailed a few points there. Everything is good until it's not. Being a police officer in today's society is probably the hardest job to do in the United States of America. And something bad happens, and an officer needs to discharge their firearm or use force in order to, stop a suspect, a criminal from continuing, their malicious acts. A lot of the times when it's reported by the media, these police officers, are already guilty in the court of public opinion. And being guilty in the court of public opinion has got to be the most anxiety-riddled thing that you could ever do, especially to an officer that has served honorably and has protected the city and the people in the businesses of the city that they serve. Community policing. A lot of these police officers have great relationships with the folks that they serve, whether it's at the morning coffee or, in the afternoon, going out to the local ballparks and just walking around and shaking hands and, talking to the kids. Now, their character at that point is ruined, and it's hard to get that back if you ever get it back. So
especially
why would people? Yeah, so
especially when the leaders don't. Well, again, I want to call these people now leaders, but when you don't stand up for them, again, when the media does something like that and just totally just vilifies what they did, as a mayor, even as city council, whatever, even as a police chief, you need to come out and say, no, this is what's going on. You're not going to, again, going after I'll go after the media, not a problem. And say, no, you're not going to do that to these guys. This is what's happened. You need to wait for all the facts to come out and we'll figure out what happened. Again, right. If they do something that's wrong, guess what? They need to be held accountable. It just is what it is. I mean, but, just totally attack them for split-second decisions. No, I don't stand for that.
And again, the power of the media to jump to conclusions, to put that guilt onto somebody who's never even had due process, innocent until proven guilty. You can't get that back. And when the apology come a year or two down the road, no one will ever remember those apologies. They're always going to remember what they initially heard. So again, why would you want to become a police officer in today's day and age? There's really no incentive. There really isn't. I'm going to put my life on the line to go out and protect a community that a lot of them are grateful for my service. And when you need me, you call 911 and I'm there again to put my life on the line to protect you. But the second I need to protect somebody from the loss of life or whatever it may be, I'm thrown under the bus and I'm absolutely railroaded and my livelihood has been sent on downstream. And again, that's not fair. And again, the power that the media has in reporting these stories, again, it is malicious and they have got to stop. There is a great responsibility in having millions and millions and millions and millions of followers as a media source. And, if you're not reporting factual and accurate type news, again, that responsibility.
It endangers the whole community. That's the thing. During 2020, 2021, I took myself and stood up for the community in person. Like when the protesters were protesting cops at their home and started attacking the people that lived in the community. I stood up my organization, UADF, and we went out in those communities to protect the people that lived there because they were being attacked by the same people who are protesting the cops, but the cops are outnumbered. They can only do so much. So it also goes back to, being a mayor and letting the community know you need to also stand up for yourself. You technically are your first responder. Those law enforcement, those firefighters, those EMS, they're just responding to something that's already happened. And sometimes it's still going on, but you need to be ready also to protect yourself and defend yourself and help each other out. And that's what UADF does. But again, I've been standing up for the community for a long time, especially since 2020. But even growing up as a kid, I was doing it. I do ride-alongs as a kid, just to, that was kind of fun. But
yeah, in 2020, you're working for the good of the country. You're working for the good of the state. You're working for the good of the city. And there was no fanfare there. You got beat up. No. You got battered. You got abused, and you could have easily just, I've got, a great life. I'm a public speaker. I've really got a I've wrote a book, a movie, and the actions that I did when I was serving overseas. Why get involved in this and go out and put myself out there is because it shows what kind of a man you are, the character that you have, and really caring about the community that you want to serve and you want to bring good, effective, and positive change to. Now, I think we've really touched pretty well on this public safety matter, but folks, if you want to get more information, I urge you to go to tigformayor.com. That's tigformayor.com, and you can help support everything he is doing. And if you have questions, hey, hit him up, tigformayor.com. Now, I want to get to number 2, okay? Because number 2 is a growing problem nationally. We have a mental health crisis upon us right now. Drugs, fentanyl pouring in through the southern border. We have big problems going on, and homelessness is one of those major things because of everything else that's going on. People want to live outside. People don't want to be a part of society anymore. They want to create their own society, and that's not healthy. It's extremely unsafe. Drugs and needles everywhere. Tent cities, driving down the property. People's home values and business values, and crime is up, and it just creates just this massive cesspool of filth. And you want to clean up the streets. You want to tackle the homelessness. You want to clean up the creek beds of what everybody sees and what our city represents. I mean, America's mountain, Pikes Peak, okay? And then you have this filth on the bottom of it. And this is what people see, right? I mean, perception is reality. And the city of Colorado Springs has gone down a lot since I've seen it and lived there. What will you do to tackle the homelessness, and how will you create a task force to clean up the streets and the creek beds of Colorado Springs?
Well, for one, it shouldn't be coming from the taxpayers of Colorado Springs, in my opinion. I mean, some of it will in the initial beginning, because it's just an evil that needs to be tackled. You're never going to end it. You're always going to have homelessness, because for one, I mean, we've talked to, having my own nonprofit that's helped veterans and first responders. We've talked to some veterans that were on the street. They're getting disability, some at 70, some at 100. They're getting a couple $1,000s a month. And they don't want no responsibility. Like I said, they just don't want to deal with anything. They say, when I get too cold, I just go to the shelter. Mm-hmm. So again, you're never truly going to end it. But, to tackle, you can't just put Band-Aids on things. You can't just, move them from encampment to encampment. You actually have to figure out, okay, the ones that have mental issues, they should be in a mental hospital. I'm sorry. That's just is what it is. I mean, they're a danger to society. They're causing crime. Instead of putting them in jail, put them in the mental hospital so they can get the help that they need. Find out the ones that want help and figure out what their issues are, and figure out why they went on the street. Did they lose their job and they just need a little bit of help? Did they, did they get on drugs? Do they have an alcohol problem? And if they do, then that's when you go and get the help that they need, get them into the rehab. Which we've done. The hard part is get them to rehab, because they want them detox before they get into rehab, which makes no sense. Why you have a rehab facility if you want them to detox before they even get there? I'm sorry, but they're not going to detox if they have a problem. We were able to get 3 of them into the detox center, but then after that, we were able to find again, working with all nonprofits, we got them clothing, we got them food, and we got them shelter. And then once we got that, and then we got them permanent shelter after they got them jobs, because you got to help them out. I mean, they just can't just go out wham after rehab. There has to be a path to success. And we got them into, I would say, like a temporary shelter at first, while they 3 of them we got into voc rehab. No, 3 of them we got into voc rehab, because they didn't really have major job skills. So we got them retrained, they got jobs, and then we got them into a permanent housing location, to where a couple of the organizations stepped in. They paid for their housing until they got their income up and they're able to afford it for themselves. But again, some people, they just need to be handled. But if you don't have a true path from start to the end, it's never.
Exactly. It's like, like we just said, putting a Band-Aid on it. Now, John, how do we help people that don't want to be helped?
That's going to be the hardest thing we're going to have to fix. I mean, the only thing you really do is put like a public ordinance, like you can't sleep here, you can't sleep in front of businesses, and and just try to maybe push them off into shelters. But people say, well, why don't you put take one of the old strip malls and just make a homeless shelter out of it and stuff like. Well, there's already homeless shelters. From what I heard, we don't have a bed problem. A lot of people, they don't want to abide by the rules of homeless shelters. So maybe, I don't know, maybe private citizens, they want to come together, even organizations, maybe build them some kind of tiny homes that they at least get them into a location that can be cleaner and out of, just out of the public, because it is a public safety thing. I don't like being bothered a lot of times because there's, but people giving them handouts, it's not helping them. It really isn't. It's not. It's just you're causing the issue to get worse and to continue. Where if they're forced to go and actually get the help, to go and get the food, go and get their clothes, versus just giving them handouts, yeah, you feel sorry for them. It's hard not to, but it's not helping them either. So just providing them a place to live ain't gonna really force them to better themselves. But like I said, sometimes people, they just don't really care. They just like the veterans that we talk to that, they're making, $2,000-$3,000 a month from disability. And they're like, I'm fine. I got what I need, and I go buy what I need when I need it. Because you make $3,000 a month and you got no bills. You're kind of living large. I mean, it might suck, but as a military guy, it's like whatever. Unfortunately.
Yeah, especially when we're used to making $12,000 a year as, PFCs and
right. So it's like, again, you're not going to, but you just try to do what you can. But the city, it shouldn't come from taxpayers, because there's so many nonprofits, they make billions of dollars. There's like 20,000 just here in Colorado Springs alone. And start tapping into those and making them put their money where their mouth is, and all those donations, and instead of pocketing it, or because I go back to Wounded Warriors, a prime example of fraud, waste, and abuse. They're giving only 10%, pocketing 90%. That's millions upon millions of dollars. So the funds are there. It shouldn't be coming from the city taxpayers. It's just going and getting people to work together, come together, like we did to help those veterans and first responders. We've gone with my foundation and just partnered with other nonprofits to work together to help veterans, because everyone has their own specialty. Everyone has their own special skills. So for you going, for these organizations going in there and just trying to fix the whole entire thing, why? They got organizations that are designed to do it. So, get people underneath an umbrella, then they can vet each other, make sure each organization is that under that umbrella is doing what they say they're going to be doing. And again, as a leader or mayor, you can kind of help those organizations grow, get bigger, and bring in other ones that are doing the right thing. And it won't come out of the city's budget. We're still worry about our own infrastructure while these nonprofits are doing their things, working with law enforcement, first responders, getting mental health, because we have a major mental health problem in this country. And same with the addiction. And I don't know, maybe get these nonprofits to start better mental health facilities for not just veterans, but for citizens, and the rehab centers that will take people in that are actually already doped up and high at the moment and start detoxing them, versus, oh, no, you got to go to jail for a week to detox. No, get them in. They're never going to detox. That's why they're there. They can't do it by themselves. So, that's where you have to go with it.
I want to bring something up that is relevant to what's going on in Colorado Springs, but it's something you haven't really seen yet, but it's coming. Now, in Anaheim, right? Anaheim, the city of Anaheim, directly behind Angel Stadium, there's a river, okay? And they call it Skid River. And it's a dry river bed. They call it Skid River because it's reminiscent of Skid Row, but it's worse. And now let me tell you what these people do. And I know this because one of my great friends is a fire captain. I have several friends that are firemen in that area that patrol Disneyland, the Honda Center, Anaheim Angel Stadium, and that whole entire area. Now, these homeless encampments have gotten so sophisticated over the years, they actually have addresses. So they are on Skid River, miles and miles and miles and miles of bike trails that they have incorporated. You show up, and I've seen it, and you show up and they have a bicycle chop shop. And people in that community work, they go out and they steal bikes, they bring it back, they chop them up, and then they sell them or whatever it is. These people, they have sexual assaults in here. They have drug overdoses. Mm-hmm. The fire department gets called there 20 times a day. Narcan, again, they are reviving people, but they don't want any help. They don't want to live in a homeless shelter. And it's gotten so bad that you have literally, you have $30 million a year athletes playing within earshot of this massive problem that is overtaking the United States with this problem. Again, it starts with drugs. It starts with, I don't want to live inside anymore. I like my life living in this tent, living in this shelter. I'm with my friends. We barbecue every night. I've got my dog with me. The weather is nice. I have no incentive to go out. Yes, am I mentally ill? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But see, this is what's coming downrange, and I've seen it. In Colorado Springs, in the creek beds, and they're starting to form these tent cities and these encampments. And if you don't get a hold of it, it will blow up. It's like wildfire. Now, they can't control what's going on in Anaheim. They can't shut it down. They'll go in there and they'll clean it up, and then a month later, they're all right back there. They'll go through there with the garbage truck and they'll throw everything away, and then right back there. We've got infectious disease, that is being run amok. They're out, you've got typhus. These guys are out spraying, for, to kill these viruses. You've got all these bacteria that are growing. You have rats. You have, again, it's a public health crisis. Now, this is what's coming to every city in America, and the majority of them already have it. And that's alarming. And this is a trend that's ticking in the wrong direction. And again, I don't know how anybody can really fix it right now because it's gotten so out of control. How do you help people that don't want to be helped? And once you see it, and you will be like shocked. Like, how is this even America? Is this third world or what? Because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like Haiti, living outside under horrible conditions. And the trash gets so bad that these trash bags and all this trash, it becomes compacted. And you've got all this stuff. It
becomes a health hazard for the community.
Absolutely. It's a public health crisis. And it's what creates diseases. And, these people are out spraying it to help mitigate the spread of disease rather than get in there and pick up the trash. You got the city going in there to spray on the sidewalks because these people are urinating, they're defecating all in the area that they live in and breathe and all that other stuff. And then they're passing it out to the community. And that's how you have infectious disease spread, you have sicknesses. And again, it drives everything down. It drives the home values down, and it increases crime and everything else. Yeah.
Yep. Again, it's going to take a bit, but I think the first start is to have a path, of success for the ones who want help. Again, the other ones, that's a whole nother ball game, and it goes back to forcing city ordinance where you're not allowed to sleep in parks, you're not allowed to stay in the parks. Force them into these facilities, and it comes down to just constant harassment. Unfortunately, that's what it is. The law enforcement and even the community organizations that get the nonprofits to come together and build a community organization to help the homelessness, but have the same thing. Not really just law enforcement harassment, but the community itself. Not in a mean way, but just not letting them rest, I guess is what I'm saying. But force them into these shelters so they're not defecating on this, because you see it. I see it just driving down, and actually just right over here off of Garden of the Gods behind one of the gas stations. It's the same thing. It's just Skid Row, and there's just trash all over down there, but you can't really see it unless you go up onto the bridge and you look over. So it's like, well, if I can't, it's out of sight, out of mind. You know, it's like that kid hiding underneath the blanket. Like, if I can't see you, you can't see me, right? So, but eventually it's going to become a public health issue because it's just going to pollute all the water that's going downstream. And you know, I know a lot of farmers that use that water for their cattle and for their crops, and here in Colorado, and you know, it's not a good thing to have. And when there are safe, clean locations for them to go to, but again, they don't want to abide by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe again, have locations that have rules, have locations that have less rules. You know, there's ways to do everything. You just got to think outside the box and do it. Would it be 100% great? Probably not, but it's something. It's not, you know, unlike Denver, we're not providing them needles and crack pipes. That's just stupid. But again, it's just about goes back to that harassment and constant like, oh, no, you got to move, and don't let up. I mean, it sucks. It's going to be, but again, you're never going to end it, but you have to do something.
Right. Yeah, you've got to try, and of course, it's going to take a tenacious effort. But
it takes the community to do it.
Yeah. You know, it's a bad look. You know, especially Colorado Springs. You know, it is dependent upon tourism. You know, Pikes Peak and the Rocky Mountains and hiking trails, and you know,
for the most part, from what I found out, actually, it's more dependent on the military. 44% of its income comes from the military, which I was kind of like, I figured like same thing. I figured it come more from tourism, but it's since crime's gone up and, you know, just the deterioration of our infrastructure, tourism's kind of gone down. You know, we got our trails that are just not being taken care of. We got this new TOPS tax. Well, not new, but a TOPS tax is still not enough to take care of our trails and infrastructure for the park and rec. Because again, it goes, well, now moving on to the other part, but everything's combined into the whole city, so it's all correlated. And the infrastructure portion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, helping with homelessness helps with the infrastructure, just getting those people off, keeping the city clean, and brings in the tourism. But where's all that money going for the infrastructure? Why we got the road tax, but our roads are still crappy. The city got sued by AHD, the handicap.
ADA?
Is it ADA? From where I think it was a D in there.
Yeah, the American Disability.
But anyway, so the ADA, they came in and sued the city instead of Mayor Souther standing up for the city and saying no, because a lot had to do with like the curbs and stuff and for wheelchairs. But you know, as long as the curbs are up to standard and they're backdated from like 1988, you don't have to redo the curbs. But he from what I was told, he just took the lawsuit and, you know, he's spending $200 and something million to redo sidewalk curbs instead of fixing our roads. So I'm thinking a lot of that tax money, since he got sued, he's using our road dues to fix the sidewalks. But he didn't have to, because he didn't fight for the city. He didn't fight for the taxpayers. Again, but that goes back to auditing every department head, find out where the fraud, waste, and abuse is going. I mean, maybe everything is on the up and up, but until you do the actual audit and have it transparent to the public, how do we know?
Right.
The infrastructure, it's these builders. I mean, they're not being responsible for the safety management of their neighborhoods. They're just kind of throwing things up here and there. Just found out, again, I'm learning a lot in the emergency evacuation stuff. They don't have like alleyways, right of ways in the emergency evacuation plans. Why not? Every road, every access should be available to the public and should be known in case something, the Waldo Canyon fire happens again, and people can, you got thousands of people trying to rush out of their neighborhoods, and you got one road.
Yeah, you got
50 alleys, but all they know, it's just ridiculous to me. Because I was talking to one of the business guys, and he's up there by CSU or UCCS, and there's a road that he said that they're not, in emergency evacuation, they're not authorized to use. It makes no sense. It's like there's no common sense in our government, and we need to bring a lot of that back into our government. But the infrastructure, again, we're outgrowing it. Fire departments, they're saying they're going to be, they need to build 5 more fire departments just to keep up. And in the city council, they're just allowing these builders to keep on building and expanding. To me, why aren't the builders paying for the new police departments, the new fire departments, and even hospitals or emergency rooms that they're flooding these our community with? Right. So they should be responsible for building that infrastructure. If they're making money off of our city, they can build that infrastructure for us. Yep. And to me, I'm not seeing it because, again, why is the fire department complaining about they have to come up with the money to build these new fire departments when they?
Yep. No, absolutely. If they're going to give you the green light to build 5,000 homes and you're going to make, $1 billion in profit, you need to kick back a little bit and build a police station. That's the give and take here. And that's how, things need to be strategized, and there needs to be some sort of agreement, and, where you sit down at a table and you come up with a resolution on, if you want 5,000 water taps, well, we're going to need more police and fire, and that's where you need to come in, and you're going to need to help donate some of that back. Now,
I was just at an event before we got on the infrastructure again. I know I love cutting you off. So I just found out it was like the Stetson Hills area, the homeowners, they bought these houses, but the builders, I guess they went bankrupt, and they were trying to make all the homeowners pay for the tap fees, which is like 10, 15 grand. And somehow, again, the county came in and actually covered the tap fees, and now the residents are having to pay back these tap fees. It's all kinds of weird stuff, but it goes back to like the builders not being responsible because the city, Colorado Springs, was using the city or the county pension fund to fund the builders to build the houses, and they end up going bankrupt because they couldn't cover the cost or something like it. And there's all kinds of weird stuff that I'm learning, and it goes back to, okay, why did that even happen? I mean, that's why I go back. Every public official, every department head should be audited, because the accountability needs to be there, and the trusted community has to be there. I'm going back. I was told I need to watch what I say, but again, I don't care anymore because it's the future of my kids, your kids, our grandkids. Wayne Williams just got a $250,000 endorsement by the builders. Right. It's never happened before. Why? The last election, they endorsed 3 candidates and donated all 3, but this one they just give it to Wayne Williams. And just a few days prior, they just approved the water rights to the builders. Is that why?
Well, there's an onion here, and
you see what I'm saying?
To peel back those layers, you start to see where a lot of these dots can be connected. But we have 5 minutes left, Tig, and this has been a great interview, but we've got to get to infrastructure and fixing the crumbling roads and potholes of Colorado Springs. And we've got 5 minutes here. We all know that Colorado Springs is full of potholes, and it has some of the worst roads in the nation. How will you tackle this, and what will be your day one team that you would put together to go out and start to tackle this problem?
Again, it goes back to, not being a politician, not really knowing the ins and outs of everything. So the day one, it's just figuring everything out. But start off again, audits. We need to know where everything's going and why it's going there. We need to find out if there's redundancies. I need to, again, like the city there, they want to pay a translator $90,000 a year to translate for people that are coming in that don't know English. Why? Okay, put that 90 grand into a pothole. It's just figuring out where that tax money is going and why did it not go to the roads? How come the roads are not fixed yet? Where did that money go? And that's the biggest thing that I think everybody in this city, well, maybe not everybody, but majority of us want to know, where is that money going and why hasn't the roads been fixed? Again, our public officials, our department heads, taking bribes so they can do something else, a pet project. They built the stadium downtown when we had a perfect stadium already built. And it's, again, it's just trusting their government and the infrastructure, although taxes have been there, but it's not done. It's, they built this Southern Water Delivery System, and EPA came in and sued them for that because they didn't do their checks and balances. Why not? They were warned that they're going to get sued by the EPA, but Southers just ignored them and said, no, we won't. Next thing you know, now we're being sued. So, there's so much stuff that I would like to know, fix, change, get rid of a lot of, we got the highest taxes pretty much in the state. So, and we shouldn't. We don't have a money flow problem. We have an allegation problem. We have a fraud, waste, and abuse problem. And to get the infrastructure fixed, the only way we're going to really truly do it and figure out where everything's going is an audit. Again, there may be nothing. Everybody could be on the up and up, but you won't really know until everybody's audited, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know I keep going back to that word now, but it's trust.
Yeah.
The public needs to trust our government and every elected official. And how do you do that? You make sure that everything that they're doing is on the up and up.
Yeah, you put yourself out there and you tackle it head on, and you are transparent and accountable to everything that you do and say, and you have a daily schedule and you share it and you go through it, and here are your minutes, and here's what I'm doing. But Tig, it has been great to have you. And before I let you go, I do love the idea of holding these nonprofits' feet to the fire to helping tackle the homeless communities. I don't believe that taxpayers should be footing the bill for everything, especially stuff that nonprofits can do, and they can start using that money in a positive way that they bring in, but a lot don't show for the actual work that they're doing. And also another thing too, with the homeless crisis that's going on, not only in Colorado Springs, but in our country, it's scaring customers away. It's putting the economy in decline. Have a safe environment for people to go spend their money and go out and eat dinner. And then, it sounds like what you said, look, I don't know all the answers. I don't know how to build a road. So I'm going to surround myself with good people. And by me doing that, it will help me lead the city through delegation and all that other stuff. That will put Colorado Springs back on the fast track to recovery. Now, Tig, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. We sincerely appreciate everything you have done and continue to do in the military and veteran community, as well as in the city of Colorado Springs. Your service, sacrifice, and dedication to our great nation is truly admirable.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Folks, remember to stay inspired, stay encouraged, stay motivated, and always stay in the fight. Until next time, for Today with Tally, this is Brian Tally. Good night.